If you want more, you must become more. Rohn. The next level. 6 months after turning his failing cafe into a thriving subscription brand. Ethan Cole stood backstage at the Austin Founders Summit, adjusting the collar of his jacket. He wasn't the same man who had once begged a landlord for a rent extension or cried. Over a near-empty bank account, he had built grounded at home, launched a successful podcast, and was weeks away from publishing his first book. But as he looked into the crowd through the curtain, 500 ambitious dreamers, waiting to hear from him, his stomach twisted. He felt like an imposter. What right did he have to give advice? He remembered a quote from a voice that had recently entered his life. Rohn, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. The quote hit differently now, because success hadn't solved everything. If Ethan wanted more impact, more freedom, more legacy, he would have to become more comfort is the enemy. After the conference, something shifted. Ethan had climbed a mountain, only to realize it was just a hill. He was proud, but he wasn't fulfilled. The business was doing well, but he had stopped growing. He had stopped reading, stopped journaling, skipped morning routines in favor of email rushes. He was busy, not better. He was successful, but stagnant, and that scared him more than failure. One morning, he sat with Maria now, his business partner, and confessed, I feel like I'm coasting, like I'm living off last quarter's wins. Maria, ever grounded, said simply, then maybe it's time to level up again. That night, Ethan dusted off his old notebook and wrote at the top, if you want more, you must become more. He underlined it 3 times. The mentorship gap, Rohn said. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Ethan realized something harsh. He was the smartest person in every room he entered. He needed mentors, not fans, so he reached out. Boldly, he messaged a branding strategist on LinkedIn. His content had helped him reframe his audience engagement. He bought a ticket to a high-ticket mastermind led by a former YouTube growth hacker. He emailed a former corporate CEO or a philanthropist, offered to volunteer time in exchange for insight. And people responded because when you're growing, real leaders recognize it. He started a new folder, Personal Growth 2.0. Inside, mind maps, video calls, self-assessments. He wasn't chasing tactics. He was becoming a student again, It's more disciplined. Ethan's biggest challenge wasn't a lack of vision, it was inconsistency. He'd have creative bursts, then no. So he rewired his daily rhythm. He stopped waking up and checking Instagram. Instead, he followed a new rule, no inputs before output every morning. He gave 1 hour to his mind and 1 hour to his mission. 30 minutes reading Rohn, Covey, Seneca. Robbins 30 minutes journaling with clarity questions, 30 minutes building his personal brand content, 30 minutes outlining strategy. He turned his calendar into a battlefield of structure. He blocked time, like a CEO, protected his energy like an athlete, tracked his habits like an engineer. He didn't become a robot, became a leader with discipline, building a brand, not just a business. One of Ethan's mentors, a branding expert named Ravi, said something that changed the game. Your business sells coffee, but your brand transforms people. Ethan realized he had been hiding behind his products. It was time to put his face and philosophy at the front of the movement. So, rebranded everything under one idea, grounded living. He started a YouTube series called Mornings with Meaning. Each episode featured 3 things: a lesson from experience or a book, a story from his own journey. Prompt to challenge the audience. It wasn't about going viral. It was about building trust. One comment changed his perspective forever. This video helped me stop thinking like a barista and start thinking like a CEO. That's when Ethan knew. His real product wasn't coffee. It was transformation, hitting the wall. Again, growth doesn't follow a straight line. It curves. It crashes. It recalibrates. 3 months into his level-up season, Ethan hit a wall. Sales dipped. Maria got sick and took a leave of absence. His editor dropped the ball on his book launch. YouTube views plateaued. And worst of all, he felt exhausted. He started questioning the whole become more mantra. Am I chasing too much? He journaled furiously. He reread his Jim Rohn notes, and one truth echoed in his mind. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. He realized he wasn't failing. He was facing the next gate. This wasn't punishment, it was the next layer of refinement. Inner game mastery, Ethan decided to go inward. He booked a cabin for 3 days alone. No Wi-Fi, no screens. Just books, paper, and silence. He asked himself, who am I becoming? What am I afraid of? Where am I playing small? What am I avoiding? The answers humbled him. He was still carrying old fear of being seen, being judged, of not having the right to lead others. But he also saw something else. He had become stronger. His thoughts were sharper, his self-awareness deeper, his leadership quieter, but it's more profound. He didn't come back with new tactics. He came back with a new center, the systems of significance. Back home, Ethan shifted from hustle to systems. He hired a crew to run day-to-day logistics. Heath built an editorial calendar for content instead of winging it, created automations for customer service, but most importantly, he created space, time to think, to mentor, to create high-leverage assets. He recorded a new course, from side hustle to brand empire. In it, he shared his story not as a guru, but as a guide. He focused on the invisible systems, mindset, values, leadership. Enrollment blew past expectations, more than money. The emails flooded in. This changed how I see my potential. I finally launched my brand after 2 years of waiting. Ethan smiled. That was the point all along. Legacy over lifestyle, Jim Rohn taught. The ultimate reason for setting goals is to entice you to become the person it takes to achieve them. Ethan didn't care about being rich. He cared about becoming. Respected by himself, so he set new goals. Mentor 100 young entrepreneurs over the next 2 years, build a foundation that helps underserved teens learn entrepreneurship. Reach 1 million people with grounded living content, spend 60 days a year completely offline. Family or solo retreat, he wasn't chasing numbers. He was chasing significance. He no longer needed to prove anything. Now he aimed to pour into others. That was growth. That was becoming more. The becoming never ends. One evening, Ethan sat in the back row of a local seminar, watching a 22-year-old woman named Kayla give her first keynote. She had once DM'd him asking, "How do I stop feeling stuck?" He had replied, "Grow into the person who would never feel stuck again." Now, she was up there, confident, articulate, blazing with vision. Ethan grinned. This was the real return, becoming more, so you could help others do the same. Final thoughts. You want more? More freedom, more money, more impact, more joy. But here's what Jim Rohn would tell you on what Ethan now lives. Don't wish for more. Work for more. Don't wish it was easier. Become stronger. Don't hope for change. Be the change. Every breakthrough you crave is locked behind a version of yourself you haven't met yet. And the key? Growth. Read more. Lead more. Risk more. Reflect more. Ask yourself daily, who am I becoming? It's when you focus on becoming more, the more you want money, influence. Confidence will chase you. Your turn. Start today, not by changing your logo, not by launching a product. Start by launching yourself into the next level of personal evolution, because the moment you decide to grow, the world grows with you.